everybody to some yoga Pilates fusion on our morning here. So I like to start in lots of different configurations of this same idea. So you can do this with a couple of yoga blocks. Today I'm going to use a blanket. If you've got a bolster or other pillows you prefer, you can use whatever you like. So I'm going to take the blanket, roll it up so it's kind of a flat, long shape, about 6 inches wide. And then, without crushing anybody, I'm going to lie down over it. Oh. So I need to bring it down just a little bit. Okay, now with a blanket, I like it to go down to the bottom of my rib cage. If I'm using blocks, I like those higher up my back. You can add a little bit of head support as you need. And then again, I like to start this way for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, because I find it very helpful to kind of open up this area at the front of the shoulder. So kind of tucking the shoulder in and finding the right position for the arm so it feels like the arm bone, the collarbone, and the shoulder blade all sort of drop back. Now you can have the legs outstretched. Constructive rest position is often my favorite, or the little butterfly. I tried them all and decided to go for the straighter legs this morning, but you can choose depending on your inclination. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then take nice deep breaths. To occasionally expand my rib cage, and then sometimes I'll breathe down deeper, so the full diaphragm I get expanded as far as it's willing to go, and then by restricting the navel area just a little bit and trying to do a similar expansion with the diaphragm, I get a little more lift in the ribs, so there's a little bit of movement in those muscles. I find that helpful. We'll stay for about 5 more breaths, just kind of letting this pose open us up and unwind us a little. So we're going to kind of continue this work with the next bit of things we're going to do. So we could, when you're ready, you can take yourself off the blanket. If you want to stay, or whatever you're using, if you want to stay a little longer, you're welcome to do so. If it's a little bit tricky or a little bit uncomfortable, when you first get off of the object, you can do some little movement. I like to do it no matter what, because it just feels nice to do a little back massage against the floor. We're going to come eventually to this constructive rest position. And then if you can, reach over your head and just make sure you're not going to run into anything. So we're going to do a little bit of work for the shoulders. And if you want to stay a little longer on the blocks, you can skip this part. So with my thumbs pointing up and my pinky fingers pointing down, palms facing in, I'm going to reach down towards my heels and then continuing to reach the whole way. So when I get to the middle, it's almost like I'm trying to pick myself up off the floor. And then you go as high up over your head as possible. Keep stretching all the way up overhead and then come all the way back. Same idea. We're reaching through the arms the whole way. So whatever the range of motion is that's cool for your shoulder, do that range of motion. Stretching into it the whole way up. And the whole way back, and try to feel the muscles that are kicking on to stabilize your shoulder and to move your arm bones as we go through the motion. I think it's pretty groovy. Let's do 2 more of those. There's a point for me like right there where it starts to get really interesting in the triceps and biceps. And similarly, when I get to that little angle right there, gets interesting. Okay, so we're going to take the arms up to about chest height, grab the left arm with the right hand, pull the left arm across to the right, and you're going to just let your left shoulder get as heavy as possible. So I even try to slide the shoulder into the center of my back while simultaneously pulling across with my arm. So you can get closer to your chest or a little closer to your face as your anatomy allows for, or just the angle that feels better to you. And we're going to take ourselves all the way over onto the side. Now, I need some head support, so I'm just going to put a block under there, but anything works, your blanket, pillow, anything you got. All right, now, hopefully, let me scooch back just a tiny notch. Hopefully you can see everything. So my right arm's on the bottom, left arm's on top. Left arm's the one that's going to move. So I'm going to reach through that arm, come all the way up over my head, and sweep it around as far as it'll go. There's a little, like, tricky place with the arm bone, right about between the ear and level with the chest, okay? That is a little bit sensitive. So if you need to lift the arm a little higher in the air, you can. Stretch out. So like the arm can come up a little bit more rather than back a little bit more. Stretch out, kind of come all the way around as far as it wants to go. And then the bottom half of that circle is really soft, so we're not pinching anything in the shoulder. Ooh, hello. All right, stretching out. Alrighty, one more time. This time, as we come around, we're going to turn this all the way into a twist. So I'm taking my whole upper back to the ground, and then you can exert a little bit more pressure by kind of wrapping the legs around each other, a little bit less pressure by putting something in between or underneath your knee. And then working around your Halloween props, or whatever you've got going on at your house. You can make this all work. Okay, we're going to take a big breath and then come all the way back. Now, we're going to continue with this one-sided sort of situation here. Coming back, bringing the hands behind the head. We're going to work with the left leg. So I've got my feet right now in constructive rest. I'm going to lift the toes on my left foot, stretch that leg all the way out. And as I stretch out, I'm reaching through the whole front of this hip, trying to open up space right there in the front of my hip. Then I'm going to bring that knee straight into the center, curl up to meet it. Keep your head pressing back into your hands so that you have to use your abdominals to do the curl. Stretch, curl. One more time, stretch, and curl. So now we're going to do a little external rotation. So we go down straight, stretch out, rotate to the outside, bring the knee towards your outside left elbow. So straight down the center line, stretch, rotate, bring it in. Same idea, one more time. Stretch, externally rotate, bring it in. Okay, so now for the trickiest one, at least for me, internal rotation. So we're going to stretch the legs straight down the middle, get that good long length through the front of your hip, rotate inward, bring the elbow and the knee toward each other in the center. Opposite side, so we're going to twist. Stretch out, twisting to the right, and then one more time, stretch out, Twist it to the right. All right, so then stretching that left leg all the way out. You can let go of your head. We're just going to kind of rotate the leg through the external to the internal rotation as you stretch a little longer, and then stretch a little longer. And maybe you're all the way at the end, and maybe there's a tiny bit more room to take up. And then just drag that leg back to the center. You can pause for just a second, do little windshield wipers or hugging, do a little back massage, and then just rest for a moment and see if there's a difference between the left side of the body and the right side of the body. I don't know if there is, but there is for me. Like, just everything feels a little different. There's a pleasant warmth to it and feels a little more relaxed. I think it's interesting. We're going to reach the arms down and then bring them right back up, and this time I'm going to grab the outside of my right arm with my left hand and then just pull it across whatever way I can. And then I'm trying to slide my right shoulder blade back down to the floor, or maybe even just up underneath my back a little bit more. So sometimes I'll try to pull the shoulder blade like down toward the left hip, if that makes any sense. Of course, my left arm is not allowing me to move that shoulder blade very much, but this is the beauty of this movement. It's working with that resistance. One more breath here. And then I'm going to let it take me all the way around. All right, so then you just got to figure out what your range of motion needs in order to do this little circle. Stretch through the arm, reach it all the way around overhead, being careful between the ear and the shoulder and all the way back around. Just be mindful of that whole trajectory right through there. I would swear to you that my arm gets longer while I do this. So one more time, all the way around, and then we're going to turn this into the twist. So stretching overhead and letting it bring me all the way around to the twist, and then pausing there for a little bit. And trying, I like this sensation of stretch through the chest muscle and through the outer hip. So trying to kind of find the just right spot there without causing any trouble for my lower back. Hopefully you guys are digging the shoulder stuff. I felt like we kind of need more shoulder stuff these days, but you can let me know in the comment section or in person how you feel about all this stuff. Okay, last big breath here. And then we're going to bring it back to the center, and we'll do all of that hip flexor warm-up work on the right side. Okay. So feet in constructive rest. Hands behind the head, lifting the right toes up. You can lift your foot a little bit off the floor, just don't go too far. You want to just be able to glide that leg straight out. And again, with the toes pointing up, the foot flex, we're going to stretch out through the front of that right hip, and then curl it in. And two more, just like that, straight down the middle. Stretch it out. We'll come back to this movement pattern when we do some downward dog later. Okay, reach out and curl it in. Okay, so this is going to be the external rotation going to the right elbow. So stretch out, rotate to the right, and then bring it towards that right elbow. So straight up the middle, stretch, then rotate, then curl it in. Same idea. Straight down the middle, one more round. Then come into the outside. All right, so now we're going to go to the inside. So straight up and down, turn it to the left, and come up. Don't skip on the stretchy part. It's the best part. The curl is good too, but the stretchy part on the hip flexors is really good. Okay, so then we're going to pause there. Stretch that right leg all the way out until you can really feel, like some of us are looser in hip flexors than others, but we're going for anywhere between the top of the pelvis and the top of the thigh, feeling some length there. And then rotate a little bit to the inside and to the outside, while kind of maintaining this notion of continually stretching your leg a little longer out. Oh, goodness. All right, and then we're going to just glide that baby back in and do just a little bit of windshield wipery movement. And then just pausing, and you can stretch your legs all the way out if you want to. Just noticing if there's a similar sensation on both hemispheres now, and if that sensation is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. All of the above are good. All right, so we're gonna take the right leg and bring it in. You can let your left leg stretch out and rest on the floor, or you can hover it up. We're gonna curl the shoulder blades off the mat. And again, you can keep your hands behind your head to kind of hold steady as you straighten out the opposite leg, curling up a little bit. Trying to curl from the abs rather than pulling from the neck. You can also reach forward. So we're coming back to this kind of similar movement pattern that we just did, but now with the leg floating, or with just a little extra bit of lift there to add on to the abs. It is not easy to talk and do this at the same time. So carry on, yogis. Dig deeper in the abdominals to get that last little bit of curl. One more set. Good. Bringing both knees in, we're going to curl up a little bit. Hold steady, either holding down by the legs or continuing to hold down with your, or to hold onto your head. We're going to extend both legs. Bring them back. If you've got the little extra amount of strength, you can do both legs and arms. The object of the game is not to let the shoulders fall down to the floor, but to keep them curled up. So whatever it takes to make that happen, that's important. We're staying in the curl, adding on by extending out through the body. Okay. Two more. Alrighty. Letting the head come down and giving yourself a little bit of time to rinse out any tension that you might have had in your neck. Now, you can repeat that neck position, holding onto the head, curling up one more time, or you can leave the head on the floor, putting the hands down closer to the hips. This will largely depend on body mechanics, but we're trying to hold the low back steady. So if the low back starts to arch off the floor, that doesn't work, and we're also not trying to squash the curve out. We just want to hold it nice and steady. So choose the arm position that's going to work best for you. Bring in the legs straight up, gluing the thighs together. Again, this is a lot of hip flexor work, so that's why we spent that time warming up. Stretching out the toes. We're going to lower the legs down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on back. Now while you're holding, you're hugging the sides of your waist in, stabilizing that low back curve by drawing the navel up and in. So we've got some extra security there for everything happening. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, draw in. 3, 2, 1. Come back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and back. 2 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Come back. Last one. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Come on back. Release everything. Oh. So we're going to take just a moment to kind of rinse things out. You can grab a drink of water if you like. We're going to meet up in an all-fours position. Oh, and then once you get there, you can do some cat-cow shapes and other things like that. gonna work with some spinal balance. So finding this kind of sense of hugging in through the sides of the waist so the back isn't really sagging, it's not arching either. We're just finding that kind of stable place. You'll take the one leg, I'm gonna do left leg, right arm, but you could do the opposite side. Kind of stretch between those 2 points. Hug in through the sides of the waist as best you can. And then we're gonna take one more out to the side. If you've got room, reach your arm out to the side, reach the leg out to the side. Try to hug in and hold steady. And then bring it back to the center and lower it down. We're going to do the opposite side. So finding that neutral position with the spine, opposite leg, opposite arm, reaching out between those 2 points again, hugging in through the sides of the waist, drawing the navel up a bit. And then out to the side, whoop, hello, as best we can. Coming back to the center and lower it down. All right, yogis. So you can take a downward facing dog pose if downward facing dog is an okay pose for you today. If for any reason it's not your jam, you can stay with the all fours position as long as you like, and then meet us up in a forward bend or a mountain pose when we get there. Okay. Now there comes a point where you've had enough downward dog for one day, or at least one moment. And when you get to that point, you can walk yourself into an all fours position, and then, or all fours position, a hanging upside down version. I'm trying to get my mat wet enough that I won't slip, and still do this at the same time. So we're going to come up about halfway. You can straighten the legs all the way out or keep the knees a little bit bent for this portion. And then as we fold in, you're only going to fold as far as you can keep your legs straight and see how that feels in the backs of your legs. When it feels like you're tugging at your sit bone, stop going forward. Okay, bend the knees until the chest can rest on your thighs and there's not a lot of pressure in the back of the leg. Come up halfway. Straighten out the legs. And again, leaving the legs straight, and we might not fold at all. We're going to see if there's a little more room to fold in. Bend the knees, put the chest on the thighs one more time through this little motion. Coming up halfway, so my back is pretty level. Straightening out the legs if you can. Holding the legs as straight as possible. And just seeing if there's any movement in the pelvis forward at all. And then bend the knees. If it feels okay to let everything just kind of slump, you can do that. And then as you're ready, bring yourself up to a standing position. All right, so in a second we're going to find a mountain pose. But before we do that, giving everything just a little bit of a shimmy. And then you can find what is for you the top of your mat, aiming your camera as you like, phone as you like. And then spread out your toes. We're going to take a nice big breath. Press the toes down just lightly, and we're going to lift up onto the tiptoes, try to take the heels off the ground, and come on back down. So I'm going to go kind of straight up the middle, but you can sweep your arms out to the sides if you like, if you've got room. So kind of letting the toes stay nice and spread out if we can do it. Lifting up onto the balls of the feet. Whoop. And coming back down. Last one. Up onto the balls of the feet. See if you can hold steady there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to come down with the heels fold forward. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. So I'm going to step into down dog. You can go directly to plank if that's better. And then you can maintain your plank. Or if you want to add on to it, you can lower down, push back up, lower down, push back up, lower down, push back up. And then we're going to all lower down halfway or all the way coming into the back bend of your choice. And then coming back to down dog. All right, so the right leg's going to go up with us. We're going to come straight down the middle. And then going back to the outside right elbow. Stretching back to the inside left elbow. Stretch it back, sink into the heel a bit. And then we'll step that foot forward. Now, if it landed just right for a warrior one, awesome. If it didn't, jiggle your feet into place. So I'm going to turn my feet just a little bit, kind of aim this back foot in, front foot forward, and then kind of finding this slightly like over top of the right thigh, but slightly in this inside portion too, letting the head release. And then I'm going to roll myself up, hopefully without falling over. It'd be better if I kept my eyes open all the way up. Give myself a nice big stretch. Send the spine forward, and then roll yourself up. Ooh. Big stretch. Send the spine forward. Oh. Roll up. I'm really trying to feel like each little vertebrae stack up as I go. Last one. Stretching forward. Oh. Roll it up. Give it a nice big stretch. Now we're going to try to take this into a balancing pose. So you can do a variety of balancing poses. Warrior 3. I'm going to do a little revolved half moon balance. Also a little twist. So we're going to take all the weight into this right leg. Pick that left leg up. For the warrior 3, I just try to hang out either arms back or arms forward for the revolved half moon. One hand's going to the bottom. I'm going to try to create that twist. Reach through the legs. Beautiful. Last breath. And then we're going to step ourselves back into downward dog or directly to plank. Notice the difference, if there is one, between your hemispheres. Lowering yourself down. Coming into your choice of a back bend. And then we'll go back to down dog. Left leg comes up straight down the center. Taking it back to the outside elbow. Taking it back toward the inside elbow. Stretch back, sink into your heel if you can. We're going to step that foot forward. And again, because we're starting down low, take a moment and get your feet into a nice steady version of the warrior 1. And then we're going to see if we can roll ourselves up without falling over. It might just be me. It takes a little bit for that. Nice big stretch. Stretch the spine forward and roll it up. Stretch forward. Roll it up. One more time. Stretch forward. And roll it up. finding that warrior one shape for yourself. And then we're going to take it into our balancing pose. So as you like, the one you picked last time. Nice big breath. Good, so we're going to bring this knee in, put the foot down right beside the other one, come up halfway, exhale, fold, and we're going to come all the way up to standing. Give it a giant stretch. Oh. Ooh. A little bit of a shimmy, and then pause for a moment in your mountain pose. So we're going to choose a balancing pose that's going to work best for you. You could do a dancer, an eagle, a tree. So kind of choosing, I'm going to do this kind of version of the chair pose that has one leg up on top. And you get to pick. This is sort of like pigeon and chair had a baby. So I like that about it. Two more breaths. Maybe. And then you're going to pick up or let go of your leg and step it back. And this time we're going to make a warrior two shape happen. So finding your way into that stable place. And we'll add our little mermaids in here. So the object of the game with the mermaid is to lengthen on both sides of this. This one in particular gives us lots of room. This one tends to be a little bit more tricky, but finding the right angle for yourself. So we can stretch the side waist and use the obliques a bit. Two more of these. And then coming back, we're going to turn this around so all the toes point forward. You can point them out a little bit more to the sides as needed. We'll fold forward into a wide angle forward bend. Again, only fold as far forward as makes sense. See if you can keep your legs more straight than not. And then maybe you just don't fold very far. Now, if it helps to bend your knees, go for it. I find if I bend my knees and try to fold more, all I wind up doing is pulling at my sit bone. So for me, straighter legs is better, but you might be different. Oh. And so I'm just breathing and checking things out as I go a little bit more towards the center point here with my torso. Two more breaths. All right, so we're going to turn this into a downward facing dog, or you can go directly back to plank as you see fit. And then we'll come to a plank, and again, you can add on to your plank or just hold it steady. Last breath. And then we'll lower down. Coming in to a little back bend. It can be a cobra or an upward dog. Then you're going to come all the way back down to the belly. Now, we're going to turn the head to one side, and then as you lift, you'll bring the head to the center and then turn it to the opposite side to rest. The arms can go beside you, or you can lace them together, put one hand on top of the other behind your back. And we're gonna bend the knees in and do this little heel kick. So the heels come towards the buttocks. 1, 2, 3. Then engaging and lifting to the center line. Everything pulls towards the middle and lifts. And then come on back down, opposite side. 1, 2, 3. Lift and return. 1, 2, 3. Lift and return. 1, 2, 3. Lift and return. We're going to do it 2 more times, one on each side. 1, 2, 3. And when you come back down, we're going to bring the hands back in, push ourselves back up to downward dog, or you can go right to the forward bend at the top of your mat as you see fit. So we're all going to join up there in just a moment. Oh. So the right leg's going to come up, give it a bit of a shake, sing the heel to the ground, circle your ankle a few times if you can. Oh. And then step forward. Wherever it goes, bring your left foot up to the right foot. Come up halfway and fold. Oh. And come all the way to standing. Give yourself a bit of a stretch. Ooh. And then we're going to shimmy and find that mountain pose. Okay. Opposite side. Get nice and steady, and then when you're ready, you start to morph into your opposite balancing pose. Whatever you did last time, do it on the other leg. Two more breaths. All right, then we're either going to let go or pick up the foot and step yourself back to your warrior 2. Once you like the angles, come to the mermaid. Two more sets. One more. And then we're going to come around, bring everything to the wide angle forward bend. And you can, if you want, make this a little bit more a kind of motion pose. You can shift your weight to the right and to the left to change it up a little bit, or just reach in and hold it, as the case may be. Last breath here. So again, we're going to turn this into downward dog, or you might go directly to your plank and either hang out or add some little push-ups if you like. And then you'll lower down. Come into a back bend, whichever one you like. And then we're going to come all the way down to the belly. So we're going to stretch the right arm up overhead, roll onto the right side, and then sort of decide, based on the proximity to things, do I have enough room here to extend my leg in a couple of different directions without knocking things over. So hips stack on top of hips, shoulders stack on top of shoulders. If my legs are slightly forward, it'll give me more support. If my legs are a little further back, or if I lift them a little bit less support. So heels together, toes out wide. So we have an external rotation in the thigh bone. We're gonna lift this top leg. So I like to do the same thing on the bottom for a little bit of extra challenge, right? Hold that bottom leg also in that external rotation. And then we're gonna circle the leg, however big a circle you can control, because you wanna try to keep this abdominal region between the hip and the shoulder stable and relatively still as the leg is trying to make that next to impossible. Okay, last circle there. Then we're gonna come back to the center, bring both big toes together, heels separate, so we've got an internal rotation, and then we're gonna try to circle the opposite direction. Now I find it much more challenging to hold my hips steady with the internal rotation. It's not a movement I do all the time. So notice if for you it's easier or maybe a little more challenging to hold that internal rotation and circle the leg and still hold your stability. Couple more. And the last one. And then bring the legs back together. So this external hip rotator, kind of gluteus medius kind of area up higher on the hip, going all the way around to the kind of underneath the buttock, are the adductors, external rotators. On the inside, we've got the adductors, and then this little little teeny area of internal rotation muscles that also help do a lot of other functions as well. So we're going to try to put all of this together. So this is what I love about the little clams or butterflies, is it puts the whole area together. So my knees are together, my feet are together, but I've lifted the feet up as high as I can without dropping the hip forward. So trying to hold the hip steady, opening up the knees. You can just pause there and bring the knees back together. Or you can open, extend that leg, try to hold that line as steady as possible. Bring the toes back together, bring the knees back together. So we're gonna make all of these muscles work in stabilizing and moving through this range of motion. I think it's a great move for strengthening the hip and also balancing the hip so that one set of those muscles isn't working harder than it should. So we'll do 4 more. Last one for me. Okay, coming down. Extending the legs as best I can. So now I just want to check in and see, like, do I feel that kind of pleasant warmth somewhere in one of those areas? It could be all of them. Maybe there's one that's a little bit weaker and you feel just a little bit more of the pose there. So the top leg is going to come across in some way. So it can just go straight out. You can bend the knee and place the knee on the ground, or you can put the foot on the ground. You just want to make sure, again, that we can maintain the stability of the pelvis. It's not dropping forward, it's not dropping back. So lifting the bottom leg up, we're going to try to go up just a little higher, and we're going to try to do it by picking up from the deepest possible hip muscle we can. So lifting that leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding steady there, making a circle for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Circling the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding steady. Just lift that leg and try to hug up the side of your waist and the inner part of the hip. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, don't let it drop, 2, 1. All right, now we're going to put it down. Oh, stretch out both legs. We're going back to the center. We're going to take ourselves through a couple of little cobras. Oh, lift. Come on back down. Slide your hands back. Press the palms into the floor. Press the legs into the floor. Lift, shoulders wide. Come on back down. Bring the hands back. Lift, shoulders wide. Come on back down. Now you can just extend your left arm and roll onto your left side. Or if you are like me, and that will cause trouble for your viewpoint. Go ahead and circle it all the way around. Left hip on the bottom, right hip on the top. So we're going to externally rotate so the toes are separate. I like to hover my bottom leg. You might want to put yours really firmly onto the floor. And then we're going to circle, try to hold steady through the core. You can put your hand up front for more stability. I like to try to kind of monitor what my hip is up to. Oh, 2 more. Last one. All right, so then we're going to bring the big toes together. So we're going to get this internal rotation. And then lift that top leg and circle it if you can the opposite direction. If you don't remember, just circle your leg, it'll be fine. Just try to hold that internal rotation, hug in nice and tight through the abdominals to hold ourselves steady. Oh. Pick up the bottom of your, the bottom side of your left waist there. Oh. Okay. So we're going to bring the legs together. We're going to bring them behind us. Double check that you like the angles that you're in. You're not dropping your hip forward. There's not a crinkling happening here. Open, extend the leg, or hover. Bring it back and close it. Try to hold the sides of the waist towards each other and move as smoothly as you can like you're underwater. Hold that thigh nice and steady. Oh, 4 more of these. And last one for me. Oh, and then I'm going to straighten out the legs. And just for a moment, just pause and let the muscle relax. Quite often when we're using a muscle like that, we can really feel it tense up when we let go or stop doing the pose. So kind of feeling for that softening. Then we're going to take that leg out front in whatever way works better for you. Hips nice and steady, shoulders nice and steady. Lift that bottom leg up, and we're going to pulse it up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick up that left side waist and circle your leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Circle it the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to hold it up now. Hold. Lift that side waist. Hug in. 10, 9, 8, 7. Don't let it drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put it all down. Whew. This time we're rolling onto the back. Oh. Organize yourself for just a second. Give yourself just a moment to feel the body let go. You can do some little windshield wiper back massage action. Alrighty. So we're going to do a little bit of Dvipadipitham, which is this sort of floating and releasing bridge. And along the way, if you wanted to, at the top, you could pick up the right leg, put it back down, lower down, go up again, pick up the left leg, put it down, lower down. So you can add the legs in if you want. I'm going to do the most simple version, but you can add on to yours. So snuggle the shoulder blades up under you a little bit, pressing the feet down nice and firm. I'm going to curl my tailbone in and then try to pick myself up vertebrae by vertebrae until I get to a bridge. And then for me, it helps to lift my toes off the ground. For some of you, it'll help to lift the heels. And then we're going to try to snake our way down one bone at a time, trying to feel each bone touch the ground. So there can be, depending on how your body is built, there might be, fleshy areas that touch the ground first, but we're feeling for the bones. So I've just about gotten to the top of the sacrum. As soon as you get there, you let everything come back to neutral. Just pause. I like to take a breath in between. And then scoop it up. We're going to do this twice more after this one, so 4 altogether. And you might have already done 4, in which case, do a few more. What the heck? I've got one more to go. When you're done with these, our final relaxation is the next bit. So you can choose whether you're going to relax on your back or on your side. If you have to scoot out a little bit early, just leave me a little comment in the chat section so I'll know you were here. I need to count everybody. But if you can do Shavasana, do Shavasana. It's a pose that's entirely for your parasympathetic nervous system. So when you're done with your Dvipadapithams, I just like to say that name, you can take some time to organize yourself. You can put a bolster under the legs or a blanket. Just kind of finding your way into a relaxed position. We're going to stay for a few minutes, just letting the muscles all soften and relax. And you can start at the top of your head or down at your tiptoes, whichever direction you want to start in, and just kind of scan through your body with your mind. And if you find a place that could use a little bit of movement to get softer, like I like to jiggle the top of my thigh a little bit because that helps my hip relax. Let the abdominals relax, let the shoulders kind of find the most soft place, and the arms and the face. Make sure the jaw's relaxed, the teeth are slightly separate, and the lips are nice and soft. Let the eye itself kind of sink a little deeper, and all the muscles around the eye, outside and inside, are all relaxed. Let your breath be nice and smooth. Just going to stay for a little bit longer. Again, take a moment, just notice your breath. If you're like me, you're also noticing that your stomach is growling because it's time for breakfast, but you can start to wiggle your fingers and toes when you're ready. And stretch them out. Oh, give them a little wiggle, and then give your wrist and ankles a little movement. Oh. Stretch yourself out. Now, no one is going to stop you if you just want to stay in Shavasana a little bit longer. But if you've got stuff to do today, then bring your knees in, give yourself a little back massage. And then we'll come up to a seated position when you're ready. So thanks for joining me for some Yoga Pilates Fusion on Monday morning. Nice big breath. Big deep sigh. Namaste. Welcome to the rest of your day.